Welcome to the Toolbox with another great tool for students so that they can be more efficient and more effective in their work and their studies. And this is the so-called Eisenhower Matrix. And the Eisenhower Matrix is also called the Eisenhower Decision Matrix. And if you probably, okay, you can probably guess from the picture, this is referring to Dwight Eisenhower. And Dwight Eisenhower was a 5-star general in the Second World War, and later on he became a US president. So when to use this matrix? And this is a situation where you have task and time management issues resulting due to bad prioritization. And often when we do tasks just at random and we execute without any clear insight, we get these issues. So how does it work? It's pretty much by asking 2 questions at the start of any task. The first question is very simple, important or not important, followed by the second question, is it urgent or not urgent? And depending on the answer, you can have a good idea of what you need to do. And that results in this type of matrix. If it's urgent and important, well, you have to do it. You have to do it straight away, immediately, do it now. But also tasks that are important but not urgent yet, that is more like a decision issue, a decision when you plan it. And still you have to do it, but it will be postponed later in time. And tasks that are not urgent and not important, you simply have to delete, straightforward. It's not relevant at all. But also tasks that are urgent and not important, that ideally you delegate it. For example, imagine that you have it's Monday and you find out that you have to give in a project, an assignment on Friday, but on the same time you committed to organize a birthday party that same Friday evening. And then you realize, well, you have some time issue here, and because it's urgent, it's a social urgency here, but it's not really important for your studies. So therefore you find a friend that can do it for you. But keep in mind, even delegating issues or tasks will take time. But that will liberate your time and focus, such that you can focus on your task and your assignment that's urgent and important. So delegating and deleting is very, very much critical to move forward. Another way of saying it, well, in the green is do it now. If it's urgent and not important, who can do it for you? Delegate. Not urgent, not important, you eliminate. But also things that are not urgent yet, not urgent and it might become urgent and important, you have to plan it, and you have to plan it in your agenda. So it's very much about do, decide, delegate, and delete, such that you can prioritize your workload. It's very critical you always start with 2 questions in your workload. Important, not important, urgent, not urgent. And there are though some important aspects related to that. First of all, so-called scope drift. What can happen, like I mentioned, something that is not urgent yet but important can become urgent after a certain time. So it might shift over time. So scope drift is something that you will notice in tasks, especially when it's delayed. That can happen. So be aware of that. There's also the issue of perception. What is urgent and important for you might not be urgent and important for somebody else. So therefore somebody might come to you and say, hey, look, I have an urgent, important task to do, and can you help me out? Well, you have to wonder, is it really, really urgent and important? Because yes, if somebody wants to delegate it to you, you have to be careful here. So there's also the importance of saying no, to be clear on your boundaries, on your own boundaries, also saying no to yourself, and clearly classify each task in one of these 4 buckets, such that you can advance your workload. It is very much about planning. The importance of planning stays important here. That will help you throughout your studies, of course, no matter what. Also closely related to that, it's about getting things done, getting it done by using this matrix, but also the importance of productivity. This is about prioritizing such that you move forward and you start focusing on the things that are important. Whether they're urgent or not urgent, that's another aspect there. But this is really, really helpful for you to move forward. So there are some modified versions on this one. The so-called time management matrix from Covey that will help you a lot, because it gives more like a philosophy around it, how to navigate these four buckets. The ABCDE method, which I have a video on that, will help you also to understand how to prioritize certain tasks. There's also the 3-3-3 method on mapping your task according to the day. The 2-minute rule to clean up some of the lesser maintenance tasks, the the bucket list, so to speak, or the full list to clear up your list, and the quarters method. The quarters method, the time-based one or the energy-based one, very, very helpful if you want to combine it with this method. Please check it out. There's some videos on that that are available on my site. It's really worthwhile to look into the book from Stephen Covey, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It's a bestseller. It's a classic. Everybody who's read this book found it highly, highly beneficial. I'm still using concepts from that book, and even although I've been reading that book years ago, it's really a bestseller, and I really would advise you to look into that. If it's time management and project management and getting your priority right, this is really going to help you forward. So to combine with this matrix, have a look into that. So this concludes the very brief introduction to the Eisenhower Matrix. Have a look into it, apply it, try it out. It will help you to get more clarity in your workload throughout your studies and your work. Let me know in the comments how it's going, and see you later for more.